talking about a nonprofit, that seems a little overwhelming. Is it doable?
It is doable. I didn't go into this thinking I'm going to start a nonprofit someday.
Right,
It was more of like, I want to help moms with unplanned pregnancies, and so we did it. And so many women come up to me and ask me, how do you start a nonprofit? And I'll say, well, are you already doing what you want to do without having a nonprofit? Like, are you already doing it? And a lot of times they're not. And so I said, just do what you can do with the resources that you have right now. Step out and do. Like, can you disciple one person? Can you feed one person, or whatever it is that you want to start? Can you do one? And watch what God will do. And so he just led us step by step. And even when we started the nonprofit, we decided, we had gotten to like 30 or 40 groups. I don't even remember. And I'm an activator. I tend to go way too fast all the time. And that's just like my makeup. And so I felt like I was supposed to start it, but I was like, God, this is big. I don't want to go too fast. Like, I don't want to run ahead of you. And if this gets hard 5 years down the road, I don't want to think, oh, maybe you didn't hear God. Maybe you weren't supposed to start this. I didn't want to have that. So I felt like I was supposed to, though. So I was like, God, I'll go ahead and start filling out all the IRS paperwork that you have to do to start a nonprofit. And one of the things is you have to do your mission statement and your vision statement, which is really hard to put your whole dream into one sentence.
Yes.
So it's like, let me work on that and work on it. But it costs money to start a nonprofit. And it was kind of a lot. And so my husband's like, Amy, I'll pay for it. I know you're supposed to do this. You were supposed to start this. I said, Ryan, I don't want you to pay for it. This is how I'll know it's from God. The money's going to fall from the sky. That's when I'll know. And he was like, okay, but I'll go ahead and do what I can do. I'm going to still minister to girls, and I'm going to start working on this paperwork, but I'm going to wait on him, and that's how I'll know. And so I started working on the mission statement and vision statement, and my co-founder, 2 days later, was at a prayer meeting for this women's conference we have at our church. And she said someone came up to her and she said, I'm sorry, I don't know you, but are you going on a missions trip sometime soon? And Selene was like, no, I'm not going on a mission trip. Like, I don't know. She's like, well, does the word mission mean something to you? And she said, well, we're working on our mission statement. And have you heard of Embrace Grace? Lady had never heard of it. Told her all about it. And she said, well, the Lord told me to fund your mission. How much is it that you need? And she wrote a check for the whole thing. The money fell from the sky.
Yes, it did.
And so I was like, okay, God, I will never doubt that you've got us. You have called us to do this. You will never leave us. You will give us the resources that we need to steward this dream that he dreamed down. Like, we're just stewards of it, right? Like, it's his, it's not mine, it's his.
Yes.
So if I get to steward it forever or a season, whatever it is, I want to hear him along the way. And we can ask him things like, God, give me a sign, and he'll do it. And it strengthens our faith. And sometimes it is hard.
Right.
But I go back to that moment and think, God, you got this. I'm not gonna worry 1 second about finances or staff or whatever. Like, he's got it.
And he will meet every single need. And there's not anything you have to worry about. It's just taking that first step. And he will meet you.
Totally.
Totally.
You just have to be, most of the time he's waiting on you.
Yes, to do it.
Right.
And he has not given us a spirit of fear.
Right.
And
then if you question, I've heard people say, well, maybe it wasn't God that told me.
Right,
and sometimes my pastor says, well, did the devil tell you? And you're like, no, the devil would have told me to help people.
Right.
Well, you talked about stewarding, and it's clear that God has to give that to your heart, because what it takes to make it happen would be almost impossible on a consistent, resilient way. You know what I mean? And then in addition to that, I think you have an infectious fire.
Yes.
Like, you can't even help yourself, you know? You have got to
hot.
tell people about what not only what you're doing, but why you're doing it, and who is in charge of all of this. That brings a level of excitement to, I think, probably anybody that's around you. So,
Well, it's fun.
Yeah, well, you don't need me to tell you
Well,
that
that's
God,
that's
but
what's so great about
it's exciting to know it
or
is.
fulfilling your destiny is that it's he's put in your heart. You're fulfilling what you're called to do. You delight in him, right? It's there. You're like, I wouldn't have wrote this, but when there's something that's there that's been in your incubator for such a long time that if it doesn't get birthed, I'm gonna burst. Then there's times where you think it's not gonna come to pass. It's not gonna come back. This, just like this show, it's like, but I know that God has got a calling, and I'm just gonna be crazy enough to believe him. And you never know. He could say no, he could say yes, or not right now, but.
Right.
just go somewhere.
do what
Just
you
do what
can
you need
do.
to do,
Yeah.
and again, he will meet you right where you're at.
You
And
don't have
so-
to have paperwork to help people.
No, you don't.
Just do what you can do.
You just
and
gotta
see
have a
what God
heart
does.
and a purpose, and just go.